Today we're at the grand opening of Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure here in the wizarding world of Harry Potter at Universal Studios Orlando's Islands of Adventure. And it is an incredible day. I'm so happy to bring to you all the details you want to know to be comfortable as a plus-size person, a tall person, somebody with accessibility concerns, somebody who has mobility concerns, sensory or cognitive concerns. I've got information about wheelchairs, ECVs, everything. I got all the information you need here in this video. Make sure you watch the whole thing because there's tons of great info.
There's 3 doors in.
Welcome to Pammie Plus Parks. I am Pammie, your plus-size fairy godmother, bringing you all the magic Universal, Disney, and Florida have to offer plus-size people and people with sensory, cognitive, mobility, and accessibility concerns. And today I even have information for those of you who are tall, because that is something that affects your fit on this ride. I don't normally push you to try to watch the entire video of my videos. I feel like you should enjoy them the way you want to, but there is so much information in this video that is peppered throughout for all of the different folks that we serve on this channel that I think it's really important for you to watch the entire video if you can. So let's go ahead and get started with this. I'm going to start off this video by just kind of walking you through the process of getting through the line and onto the ride. I'm expecting the queues for this ride to be very long for quite a long time, and it may be a while before you get into Hogsmeade itself, but once you do, you'll notice off to the right hand side there'll be some team members that may direct you to one of 2 locker rooms. The first locker room's right here off to the right, and it is part of the queue. Once you finish putting your bag away, you can actually walk right out and rejoin the queue again. Now on this particular day, I went into the second locker room, and here's what the interior of the locker room looks like. There are paid lockers available that are jumbo size lockers if you have several bags you want to put in and bigger things. It's $2 for this locker while you ride and $3 for every 30 minutes after your ride. So I guess they must be keeping track of how long it takes you to ride, because it doesn't say how long, like a time limit or anything. But the entire time you're on the ride, this is free. And you've got to remember to keep your ticket outside of your bag, because your ticket is what you're going to need to get back into your locker. And here's what the other lockers on the other side look like. Those lockers on the other side of the room are the free lockers. And as you can see, they're kind of small and thin. That would be big enough for me to take a standard kids or adults backpack that isn't overstuffed, and you can just slide it in there flat. I will let you know that they do allow fanny packs on this ride, so you can bring a fanny pack. They aren't going to stop you from bringing a cell phone as long as you can put it away in your pocket. There are no metal detectors for this ride, but there on the warning sign it does tell you to secure, money, change, any loose objects, including hats, and they even mention glasses. However, I saw a lot of people riding with glasses, and I know personally I would not be able to walk through the queue without my glasses on. I would be unable to see, so I just would recommend that you remove your glasses during the ride and secure them somewhere on your person if you feel it's necessary. But I did see many people riding with their glasses on their faces, so I think it might be okay. Okay, the next thing I want to show you are the tester seats. So this tester seat that they had, they may change where it's located, but on the day that I went, the tester seat was just outside of that second locker room. Let's have a really close look at this tester seat. Now the tester seats are in kind of a semi-private area where there's, they blocked it off a little bit so people can't see exactly what you're doing. There's the motorcycle seat. You can see it's a nice wide, generous fit seat. And there is a little area, a little thing you need to step over. I'll show you that in more detail. Take a closer look at this. This middle step thing is like 6 to 8 inches high, and you have to step over that. Here is your sidecar seat and the restraint, and you can see there's like a little stopper here where it will prevent your feet from going any further forward. A closer look here at the seat, you can see there is like a little divider in the middle of the seat to put your legs around. Now, I didn't even really feel this when I sat on it. I didn't find it particularly uncomfortable, and it didn't make any difference for me, I think, as far as fit goes and comfort goes. But what I thought was interesting, and something you're going to want to look at if you are a tall person, is take a look at the leg room here. I don't know if you can see this, but if you take a very close look at the center of the screen, you can see there's that roller device. Now your front of your calves would hit that roller, and then the top of your shoes, the front of your shoes would hit that black box. So you can't extend your feet out any further than that little black box. And that's why this particular seat can be very challenging for people who are 6'2" or taller. I have heard of a story of someone who is 6'6" who sat in this sidecar, but he was very, very slim, and I guess he just kind of made himself like a pretzel and he managed to fit in there. But for the most part, the reports I've been hearing and seeing on Twitter and other different outlets, people are saying that if you're 6'2" or taller, that sidecar seat can be really uncomfortable. And so I definitely recommend that you go on the motorcycle seat. I did not fit on the tester seat without help. Unfortunately, I was by myself vlogging, so I didn't actually have any help to fit on the seat. The seats were both really comfortable. The restraints came down almost all the way. I had like about this much room more, which would be like an inch and a half, for the restraint to come down so that I would get a green light. When you are sitting on the ride, you aren't in a position to get that push down, that little extra bit that you need if you're a little bit fuller through your belly area and hips area like I am. So you have to have someone who is standing up or standing next to you or sitting next to you give that little extra push, because they're at a better angle to do it. The team members are not allowed to push on the restraints for you because they don't want to risk hurting you or injuring you or making you uncomfortable. So it has to be somebody that you're traveling with. And if you're traveling by yourself, it can be awkward to ask the stranger next to you to push down on a restraint. They may not be comfortable doing that for you. So I was kind of in a position where I just could not ride on this day, but I know I can go back later and ride with a friend and have them give that restraint a little push, and I'll be a-okay. Let me tell you a little bit about my sizes so you can better understand the fit of this particular vehicle. I am 5 feet 4 inches tall, and I weigh 327 pounds. My waist is 51 inches around, and my hips are 60 inches around. Now, warnings for this ride, there's no sizing on the warning signs, but if you go to the Universal website, it will say that guests who have a waist measurement of 40 inches or greater may have difficulty fitting on the ride because the restraints may not accommodate them. I have actually seen a video from Attractions Magazine. One of the representatives from Attractions Magazine looked like a man who was about 6 feet tall and had a 48-inch waist. He was able to fit in the sidecar if someone pushed down on his restraint a little bit, or he could get on the motorcycle section without any assistance whatsoever. He was able to push it down and it turned green. So you really have to understand that the fit of this seat is going to really depend on how tall you are, how much you weigh, where you carry your weight. Is it in your belly? Is it in your hips? Do you have a low hanging belly? If you're a taller person and you carry more of your weight on your upper body, you may have an easier time. Now, I ran into somebody who's a viewer of Pammie Plus Parks. His name is Lee, and he was very gracious, and he allowed me to take some footage of him trying out the ride. So let's take a look at him trying out this tester seat. Okay, here's Lee in the motorcycle seat, and you know, he's got a leg on either side of the T-bar restraint, nice and comfortable. It's a glide and lock system. He seemed to do pretty well, but here's where he had trouble. He fumbled stepping over that thing I showed you earlier, and I stumbled on it too. Here he is sitting in the sidecar seat, and as you can see, he has longer legs, so his feet, he couldn't push his feet any further forward. His knees are at more of a tighter angle, and if you have tight knees or you're not a very flexible person, this could be very uncomfortable for you. But he seemed to do okay. Lee did say that he was going to go ahead and try using the motorcycle seat, and I believe that he did ride this ride. So Lee, if you're watching this, please let us know what your experience with the ride was down below in the comments.
Hey guys, say hello to Lee. He's such a great sport. He let me video him getting on the tester seat. You're a huge help. Thank you for all the thousands of people you're helping by being in this video. Thanks, Lee. Say hi to everybody.
Hi everybody.
Okay, you have managed to get through the exterior queue, you've gone and you've stashed your bag, you've tried the tester seat, and now it's time to take a look at the warning sign and see if there's anything you need to be concerned about with this ride. I will take a moment to quickly read through some of these warnings for you because I know a lot of you are watching this video on your cell phone and you won't actually be able to see the sign and read it. So I'll go through that very quickly for you right now. If you have any of the following conditions, you may wish to avoid this ride. And those conditions include any heart conditions or abnormal blood pressure, back, neck, or similar physical conditions. If you're an expectant mother, do you have motion sickness, a fear of heights, any medical sensitivity to strobe effects or fog, or if you've had recent surgery or any other condition that could be aggravated by the ride. And it does say here on the sign that the restraints for this ride may not accommodate all people of all heights and body styles and sizes. Let's talk about height. Guests who are 48 inches or less may not enjoy this ride. You must be at least 48 inches tall. Guests using standard wheelchairs, motorized wheelchairs, or electric convenience vehicles, ECVs or scooters, must transfer to the ride vehicle seating. I'd like to add in here that they do allow standard wheelchairs and motorized wheelchairs in the queue. However, ECVs are not allowed in the queue. They do have some free wheelchairs that they will lend to you free of charge to be used through the queue. Keep in mind that the queue has a lot of up and down steep inclines. If you are traveling with someone who cannot push you like that in a wheelchair, or if you're by yourself and can't push yourself in the wheelchair, make sure you ask to speak with the team lead. And that's basically a supervisor or manager of the attraction, and they will come to you and they will assist you with getting to the ride. Now, if you do this, the team lead will be able to get you through the queue and onto the ride, but they're going to have to bypass certain parts of the queue. So you will miss out on a large section of the queue inside the building that's really beautifully themed, and you'll miss the pre-boarding show, but you'll still be able to enjoy the ride. This ride does not accommodate service animals. So if you are using a service animal, your animal will not be able to ride with you on this ride. And if you have to have your service animal with you in order to enjoy the ride, this is a ride you're going to have to skip. Here's something interesting that I haven't yet seen on one of the universal warning signs, and it's a warning about prosthetic devices. They ask that you secure your prosthetic devices to make sure that there's no loss of the prosthetic device and no injury to yourself. I'm not sure what that entails, but if you have a prosthetic limb, you really need to talk to a team member before you get into the main queue, maybe even speak to a team lead and find out what exactly they mean by that. It may mean different things depending on what type of prosthetic limb you have, but that's kind of an important thing to know if you're planning to ride this ride and you have a prosthetic limb. And finally, the last warning on this ride is to make sure you secure all loose articles, and it does mention glasses, it mentions hats, it mentions your wallet, your keys, and of course your cell phones. Now, they won't stop you from bringing your cell phone on if you have a place to secure it. So if you can tuck it into a pocket or something and keep it safe when you're on the ride, then it should be okay, but you can't bring a camera in. Now, you may be wondering, because I am going to show you some footage of the queue, how did I manage to take my camera in? And that's because I let everyone know that I was not going on the ride, and therefore they allowed me to bring my bag and my camera. So if you decide you want to go through the queue but you don't want to ride, they will allow you to bring your stuff in, but you just have to check in with all the team members throughout the queue, and there are team members everywhere throughout the queue who will check and ask about anything you have on you that you haven't secured. So be aware of that. You're not really going to be able to sneak anything past them. It won't happen. They're very, very cautious about making sure everybody remains safe on this ride. All right, you've done everything you need to do. It is time for you to finally step through the archway and into the actual queue of the ride.
One of the things I'm noticing about this ride that is amazing is that everyone who's screaming on it is screams of joy and not fear.
There are so many beautiful details inside of this queue. Lots of fun surprises like this alligator. And you get to see the backside of Hagrid's home. And there's so many more things that I want to share with you, but I'm going to keep them to myself. There are other videos out there by other vloggers who have really fantastic details of what the queue looks like. And that's not really what this video is about. It's more about sharing information with you about the ride to help you enjoy it better from the perspective of being able to fit on it and access it properly. but I just love this queue. It looks like they spent $300 million on the ride, and they really did. It's absolutely gorgeous. My only complaint about the queue is that although there were lots of shady trees to shield us from the sun, and they did have a lot of fans placed everywhere, almost none of the fans were working on that day, and it made it really, really hot. I'm hoping they get that fixed. So I would urge you to make sure you bring lots of water with you and maybe a little portable fan or a hand fan to help keep you cool along the way. Throughout the queue, I did see at least one water fountain. And there's actually something you can do if you need to use the bathroom. Take a look at this. Throughout the length of the entire queue, there's like a pathway that is parallel to the queue, and that pathway is used for a number of different things. That pathway is also the single rider's pathway. It allows you to get through the line a little faster. The other great use for this path is restrooms. That's right, if you have to use the restroom, you literally just have to put your arm out past the queue and flag down a team member, and they'll come over to you and they'll help you leave the line, explain to you where the nearest restroom is. You can go to the restroom and come back up that same path, see that same team member, and they'll help you reunite with your party. This means nobody's going to be crossing in and out of the queue to get to their family members if they have to use the bathroom. This is utterly genius, and I hope that Universal and other theme parks continue to use this method in the future. Now, if you make the choice to do the single rider line like I'm doing right now, you will bypass parts of the queue that have the pre-show. I feel bad I'm not taping that for you, but there are other videos out there that contain it, and I kind of want to leave some things for you to discover and enjoy on your own. So I'm going to see what this single rider line looks like and show you that, because I don't think anyone showed you that in a video yet. All right, let's have a look. We're going in through the single rider entrance. Oh my goodness, there's some stairs. There's a lot of stairs. I don't know if you saw it as I was walking down that little hallway, but there was like a little, like a door or something off to my right, and I believe that was access to an elevator. I think that if you are in a wheelchair, you have some mobility concerns, you may actually be able to access an elevator there. A team member is going to assist you if you have any needs along those lines. Just ask them while you're in line and they'll be able to help you. Just as you come out of that doorway from the single rider line, off to your right is the little alcove where the tester seat is located. If we take a little spin around the room here, you can see this is the last pre-boarding area. These folks have already seen the pre-show, and they're getting ready to actually get on the ride. Let's take another look at that tester seat. So as you can see, there's a guy sitting here in the tester seat. I did get his permission to film him. But yeah, it's kind of like, it's a little bit secluded. It's not really out there in the open for everyone to see. It's a little out of the way, and I feel like it's a little more private. They have a couple of team members who are there, kind of stand and block the view from everyone else. So I don't think you should feel uncomfortable trying this tester seat. If you didn't already try the one on the outside of the ride, this is your next opportunity to try it here. Just to the left of that tester seat is the rider switch room, and this is like the family waiting area for anybody who wants to do a rider swap with a young child. If your child is under 48 inches tall, one parent can go on the ride while the other parent waits with the child in this rider swap room. And then once they get off the ride, they can switch out positions. The other parent can go on the ride. This is also a great place for you to wait if you're waiting for the rest of your party to go on the ride. You should not bypass this queue and the opportunity to be with your family. Let me emphasize something here with you. Because they make you put your bags away, and most people secure their bags and their phones, you're in a line with your children for anywhere from hopefully only 60 to 90 minutes, and you're in a position where you have to talk to one another. I saw something really amazing in this queue. Families, you know, maybe one of them would have like a cell phone that they would take some pictures with, but everybody was talking to each other and laughing and enjoying one another's company. And I saw so much joy on people's faces as they had conversations with their family in the line. So even if you find that you are not able to go on this ride for whatever reason, whether there are some issues with fit or if the ride is too intense for you, go in the queue, enjoy the theming of the queue, and spend time with your family. I don't think you'll regret it. All right, here's a little animation that shows you how to board the ride. And I want to point a couple of things out to you. As you notice, there is a moving walkway for this ride. You step down onto it and the walkway moves at the same speed as the coaster. So this type of loading style is very similar to the loading style of rides like Haunted Mansion, Little Mermaid, and Finding Nemo. Sort of unusual to board a roller coaster this way, but so far I think it seems to be working. If you've got some mobility concerns and you're afraid that that walkway is moving a little too quickly, make sure you reach out to a team member. They are able to slow it down for you if needed. Now, they don't want to stop it if they can help it, but under very special circumstances, they may be able to do so. If you feel that you absolutely have to have that belt stopped so that you can board the ride, again, make sure you reach out to a team member and explain the circumstances why, and they may be able to help you with that. At the very least, they should be able to slow it down for you. Let's take a closer look at a couple of the diagrams from that boarding animation. First, we'll have a look at the motorcycle seating. As you can see from this diagram, it kind of points out what we were talking about earlier about how you can only put your feet so far forward. There's a little box in front of your feet that will prevent you from putting your feet as far forward as you possibly can. I think if those little boxes weren't there, and unfortunately I think they have to be because they're part of the controls of the roller coaster, but if those boxes weren't there, I could actually extend my feet out further in front of me and my low hanging belly would actually go down further and it would make it easier for the restraint to close on me. But they would not let me put my feet on top of that box or around that box, so your feet just have to go right up against it. And that's probably why this particular seat may be a little easier for people who are tall to sit in, because the seat itself is a little higher and it gives you a little more leg room from that standpoint. Also, if you have difficulty bending your knees or sitting down and standing up with ease, if that's difficult for you, that motorcycle seat may be the seat you want to go for if you have those particular mobility concerns. Let's go ahead and have a look at the sidecar diagram as well. Again, you can see the placement of your feet is going to be right up against those rollers that we saw earlier. You can only get your feet so far forward. So if you have a mobility concern where you're not able to bend your knees very easily or be in a bent position like that, again, you'll find that motorcycle seat more comfortable because your legs won't be as bent. If you are a taller person, you will also find that motorcycle seat a little more accommodating for leg length. Now, here's something I've learned about the seating so far from reading tweets and watching other people's videos and having people get in touch with me who are tall people. And they have mentioned that if you are 6'2" or taller, you're probably just going to be more comfortable on the motorcycle seat. As far as choosing between the motorcycle seat and the sidecar, as a 5'4" plus size woman, I really don't have a preference. I felt both of the seats were equally comfortable. I didn't feel squished or cramped or have any issues at all whatsoever with my legs or my feet. And I felt like, for me, the restraint came down just as far on one as it did on the other. I will say that I did struggle to climb over that little hump in the center of the motorcycle seat because it was not easy for me to get my very short legs up and over that. But you know, I don't think it would matter which seat that I sat in as far as fitting well. And but I do think I would rather sit in the motorcycle seat because it seems a lot more thrilling. Okay, let's talk about sensory concerns for this ride. My husband has epilepsy, so I can speak with some knowledge about what his experience is on rides like this. Mark avoids roller coasters altogether, so he would never go on this ride at all. The ride itself, from what I have seen, does not have anything that would majorly affect him with epilepsy. Where he would run into situations with issues would be during the pre-boarding portion of the queue. There's a pre-boarding show that includes some of the effects that are mentioned in the warning sign about flashing lights and fog effects. That might bother him. So if you're someone with that type of a sensory or cognitive concern, you may wish to go in the single rider line, which would bypass that pre-show altogether, and you'd be able to just get on the roller coaster itself. Now, I personally don't want to be the person to tell you whether or not you should go on a ride based on a cognitive or sensory concern. It's something you need to talk to your doctor about. And one thing I highly recommend that you do is that you go view some point of view videos from people who have shot point of view footage of the actual ride. I don't put it in my videos in case somebody does have a sensory concern and it might trigger them, but you can go search for that on YouTube and see if you can find a video and have a family member or friend watch it for you and see if you think it will trigger any issues for you.
If you have any questions that weren't answered by this video, make sure you put those down below in the comments and I'll see what I can do about answering them for you. In the meantime, go ahead and check out some of these other great videos that I have for you for Universal and Disney.